Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and I am the owner and maker of Flynn Sisters Boutique. And today we're going to be doing a fun little Halloween design, and I'm going to be using a method that I learned a while back from Ashley Mears, and it's kind of like a peekaboo cheat method. So instead of doing like a full peekaboo, we're going to take a shortcut and make things a little bit easier on ourselves. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. You know, I'm gonna have all the products that you see listed and linked down below in the description box. You might even find some discount codes for you there as well. You're also gonna find links to all of our social media. You guys, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We have a lot of fun over on TikTok. So be sure to follow us there as well. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out a lot. So that's enough chit chat for me. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here's my inspiration for this cup. This is a pillow that I got from Joann Fabrics. And when I decided to make a design with this pillow, I knew I wanted this exact jack-o'-lantern face. I couldn't find it anywhere online, so I'm going to make my own image to upload to put on the cup. So I just printed that picture of the pillow with my printer on my computer. And now I'm going to trace it onto a clean piece of computer paper with like my kid's tracing pad. And I'm just going to use pencil at first to get a rough draft. And then once we have this fully traced with pencil, I'm going to go back over it with Sharpie marker. What we're trying to create here is a really nice clean image that we can scan into the computer and upload to Cricut Design Space so I can make my own cut file out of it. Because again, I'm being really stubborn on this design and I really want this exact jack-o'-lantern face and I couldn't find it anywhere. So remember, when you're tracing this pattern and drawing it out with your Sharpie, you want to get the lines as clean as possible. Imagine any other design that you'd be cutting with vinyl. We don't want a lot of, fine line and detail and things like that. And make sure you erase all of your pencil lines once we're done. I scanned this into my computer as a JPEG image, and then I uploaded that into Cricut Design Space like I would any other image. I've got it on my canvas here, and I'm going to resize my little jack-o'-lantern to the size I want my decal on my tumbler. In this case, I have it about 4 inches wide, okay? We also want to rotate him so he's right side up. All right, and I'm going to be creating 2 images here. One is going to be this black outline that we're going to cut out of black vinyl. And the other is going to be just the shape of our jack-o'-lantern with no detail. And that's what we're going to glitter as our like fake peekaboo section, okay? So I'm gonna duplicate our little jack-o'-lantern here. So just select him and then click duplicate. And then I'm going to click contour. And then we're just going to click on all the little cut lines inside of the jack-o'-lantern so that all we'll be left with is just the plain pumpkin shape. You're going to see why this is important later. Just trust the process. All right. So once we got that all cleaned up, again, we should have one solid pumpkin shape and then one black outline for the jack-o'-lantern, and both have to be the exact same size, okay? If you guys have seen any of my offset peekaboo tutorials, you'll know like we have the one cut out for our stenciling and then the other cut out for our offset or outline of our peekaboo stenciled image. Okay, I hope you're still following me there. I hope that all makes sense. I promise you it's all going to come together in the end. All right, and now that we have our 2 shapes ready to cut, I'm going to cut one with orange permanent vinyl and the other one will be cut with black permanent vinyl. All right, so here I am with my orange piece that's already been cut. This is going to be my like simple pumpkin shape that'll be glittered. I'm going to prep the vinyl really quick by sanding it with some 20 grit sandpaper and wiping off any kind of debris. And this is just to kind of scuff up the surface to make like better adhesion with our glue and our glitter. All right, and then I'm just gonna use regular Mod Podge with my favorite Mod Podge brush. And we're going to want to brush on a nice like thin layer of Mod Podge right over our vinyl, making sure that we get our entire pumpkin shape. So it's okay if you overlap onto the surrounding vinyl outside of the lines of our shape. Once we got a nice smooth layer of Mod Podge there, I'm just going to let it rip with my glitter. This is a really pretty orange mix that I made with 3 different peachy olive glitter colors that I'll have listed and linked down below. And you just kind of want to tap that on, make sure you have nice solid, you know, a nice solid bond there with your glitter, and then tap off all of the excess. Okay, and then while our adhesive is still wet, we're just going to pull off that surrounding piece of vinyl. I don't think I would recommend this technique for any like super intricate or detailed design, but it works absolutely perfect for something simple like this. So here's our cute little glittered pumpkin. I'm going to let this dry for about 20 minutes or so. And then I'm going to come back around with a piece of painter's tape and just clean up any kind of stray pieces of glitter. I am going to be applying this to just a painted cup, so I want to keep all of the like rogue glitter to a bare minimum to make sure I don't get any glitter onto the painted surface of my cup. All right, so once we get this all cleaned up, I'm going to spray seal this with Rustoleum clear gloss spray paint. And I'm going to let that dry for about 15 minutes or so. Now that we're done with the little glitter decal, I'm ready to transfer it onto my cup. I've already prepped and painted my tumbler using Heirloom white from Rustoleum spray paint. This is a satin finish spray paint, and I thought this kind of off-white color was perfect for this project. I'm going to hand transfer my decal instead of using transfer tape because I don't want to disturb any of that glitter. So we're just going to very carefully hand transfer this onto our cup and just tap it on there really gently, making sure we get it down as smooth and as like solid as possible. This will kind of create the illusion of a glitter peekaboo without having to glitter the whole cup and epoxy and all that other mess, okay? So once we have that on there, I did actually spray seal it a second time just to be sure. And now I'm ready to apply my washi tape lines. I'm going to be using 3/4 inch masking tape to line up our washi tape lines, and this is just going to help me evenly space the lines all the way down our tumbler. I'm going to line up that initial one with the top rim of my cup, and as long as I get this first one right on the nose, the rest are pretty easy. So the straightness of all the lines is going to rely on this one top one being straight, okay? So if this one isn't straight, the rest aren't going to be straight. So really take your time making sure you have a nice clean positioning with that initial tape there. And then you're just going to take your little washi tape or black vinyl lines, whatever you choose to use, and you're going to line that right up against the masking tape, only using the tape as a guide. I'm going to trim it up around the back here using my craft knife. And again, we're just going to repeat that all the way down our cup. Anytime the washi tape intersects with our pumpkin shape, I'm just going to let it overlap slightly, and then again trim with my craft knife right up against the edge of our little pumpkin shape there. Because the black pumpkin outline that we're going to be putting over that glittered section later is not really an offset, it's more just an outline, you do want to make sure that those washi tape lines sit flush with the edges of the pumpkin. So that might be a little tricky, but just be mindful of that because you don't want to have any mess ups later. I have to tell you that I was really disappointed with this glitter washi tape. I did get fallout from some of the glitter and it was kind of like see-through, but then at the same time, I kind of liked that look because it added to sort of that vintage vibe that I was going after. You definitely couldn't see the glitter through the epoxy, so that was also disappointing. But whatever. If I had to do this again, I probably just would have used like regular black vinyl to do the lines. Once I finished up with that, I did spray seal it again just because I was getting the fallout from the black glitter on that stupid washi tape. but whatever. I let that spray sealer dry for about 20 minutes or so, and then I was ready for my first coat of glitter. This first coat was 30 milliliters of epoxy. I let that first coat dry for about 4 to 6 hours, and then I went right back in with a second coat over the top of that. I let that second coat dry for about 8 to 12 hours before we moved on to the next step. All right, and now we're ready to move on to our sanding. So I'm going to do my regular sanding routine. I've got about an 80 grit sanding block here, and I'm just going to sand around the top rim to expose that fine line of stainless steel. This is where our final coats of epoxy will adhere to create the final seal for our tumbler. We want to create the seal for our tumbler on the outer rim of our cup rather than the very top rim of our cup where it's more vulnerable and won't be as strong over time. So here I'm just holding my sander at about a 45-degree angle and just going around the top rim as much as I need to expose a nice even fine line. I'm also going to go over any like sharp bits that I might have had from that weird washi tape. Or our glitter decal. There wasn't much sanding to do here. So once I was done, I just sprayed it down with some rubbing alcohol and then cleaned it up with some paper towels. Normally I would take it in to rinse it off, but I didn't really have much to clean off today. So I just did it real quick, and then we were ready to move on to our decals. So here's our cute little jack-o'-lantern face. I'm going to get this weeded. Remember, we cut this earlier. Once I get them all weeded, I'm going to apply my transfer tape. I get a lot of questions on what kind of transfer tape I use, so I will be sure to link this one down below in the description box. Once I get my transfer tape applied to the top of my decal, I'm going to place my decal face down against the table, and then I'll peel that paper backing back just a bit so that I could loosen the decal from the paper backing so that when I go to transfer it, there's no drama. All right. I quickly realized when I started to transfer this that it was going to be really hard to line up that outline. So I decided that I would try to use this like parchment paper method. I normally don't like to use this parchment paper or wax paper because it's hard for me to see through. But it worked for this application because we have so much contrast with our colors. So I just grabbed a little square of parchment paper, put it underneath my decal after removing the decal's paper backing, and then I used the parchment paper to help me line everything up properly. Once I was confident that I had everything lined up well, I just used the hinge method to peel it back on one side, cut off some of that parchment paper, anchored down the right side with our decal and our transfer tape. Then I just lifted up the opposite side and laid our decal down nice and flat. So easy. Now, the only problem with this was is that earlier when I was placing the pumpkin decal with the glitter, I kind of stretched it out a little bit on accident. And in doing so, it made it so that my outline didn't line up properly because that pumpkin was just a little bit stretched out. So what I did to kind of cover up that boo-boo was I got my black acrylic Arteza marker and I just colored in any of those, orange spots around that black outline that weren't supposed to be showing. Okay. And it totally worked. You couldn't even tell. It looked great. So if you're ever in a bind and you are working on a similar kind of design, this is a great little hack to fix those mistakes. All right, so moving on to our Happy Halloween decal. This is called the Ostrich font, and the Ostrich font is like a layerable font. So it has like multiple versions that you can layer against each other. You can find this font in the GoDaddy Studio app, I think on Android or iPhone, but it used to be called the Over app. And if you guys watched enough of my videos, you know that I use the Over app a lot. So it's a very useful app. They just changed the name recently. So if you're having a hard time finding it, it's called GoDaddy Design Studio or something, GoDaddy Studios, something like that. Okay. So I just cut out the two different versions of it, sized exactly the same so that we can just layer them really simply. 10 out of 10 would not recommend working with this font. It was so difficult with all those tiny lines, and I had about a good 30 minutes or so off camera where I was fighting with this decal. Had a really rough time with it, but it's super cute, and I really love the look of it for this like vintage Halloween kind of vibe. So anyway, once I got my decals layered, I just applied them to my cup like I normally would using my hinge method. And now we are ready for our final coats of epoxy. All right, and so for our final coat here, I've got 20 milliliters of epoxy. I'm just gonna put this on like I normally would, and I let that coat dry for about 4 to 6 hours, and then I came right back over it with another 20 milliliters of epoxy, and I let that second coat dry for about 8 to 12 hours, and that was it. We were done. So that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and if you liked my video, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I upload videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. And a big thank you to all of our Flynn Sisters exclusive members. Thank you for your pledge. Your support means the world to our channel. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.